Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualized, My Sexual Life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live right now or post a new video. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up as we're going along if you're enjoying the content. If you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this beautiful book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. I'm also the founder of asexualise.com and the founder of Asexualise Academy, which is the world's first online training centre and school for asexuals and asexuality. So welcome to tonight's episode of Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month, Day 21. This episode is all about what you need to know if you're just discovering you're asexual. So this is advice you need to know if you've just discovered or just realized that you are asexual. And this advice is coming from my Asexual Perspectives book. Now, if you didn't already know, this book was published in 2017 and it's still going strong today. There's still tons and tons of advice. It's all up to date. You know, even though it's 2 years ago, it's still up to date very much. So it's pretty much answers nearly any question you can think of about asexuality, love, life, and sex as well. So it's a really good book, and I'm going to be reading from it because this book is to celebrate our diversity across the asexual spectrum and our differences within it, and to also answer pretty much most common questions I get asked about asexuality, such as, if you're asexual, can you still masturbate? If you watch porn, can you still be asexual? Do asexuals have kinks? You know, what can asexuals love? You know, what about kids? You know, this answers nearly any possible question you could have about being asexual. And it's from 46 asexuals and myself's perspective as well. So click the link down below if you want to grab a copy. And I'm going to do some excerpt reading tonight, as always, throughout Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month, which is also to celebrate our diversity across the spectrum and our differences within it. And it was founded when I released this book in 2017. So let's crack on. Right. So this is advice you need to know if you're just discovering you're asexual. If you've got any friends that are just discovering they're asexual, please share this video at the end with them, because I think they'll find some really valuable information in it. So Stephen, this is Stephen's story. I'm going to be reading from the book, so looking down a bit. So if you to look back at your life, I need to say this because his advice is the same to himself as it's to the other asexuals, right? If you were to look back at your life, what advice would you have given a younger version of yourself in regard to asexuality? And it was, don't try to fit in with the popular crowd. Be who you are, not who you think you want to be. And what advice would you give to others who are just discovering about asexuality and considering whether they are or not? The same advice. Also isolate yourself in reading books and poetry. Oh, isn't that nice? Yeah, so I think Stephen makes a really good point about don't try and fit in with the popular crowd and be who you are, not who you think you want to be. So I've touched on this subject before. There's some asexuals who don't want to be asexual. They are in denial about being asexual. They don't want to believe it's them because it's so difficult, because they're like, I'm so different to society. How am I going to cope in this world and be lonely forever? And that's the sort of story they keep telling themselves in their head. But in actuality, it's more lonely to not come out as asexual, to be, closed off to the world and to be secretive about being asexual, because it's a huge burden on your shoulders, to know that you're different to other people and not be able to share that with anyone. Whereas if you're openly asexual, you can make a lot more asexual friends, both online and in person. Even people that aren't asexual, there are still people that aren't asexual that are open-minded and like to know about things and can accept you for who you are, and by carrying around this burden and not wanting to be someone who you actually are, it just makes your life miserable, and I don't want that for you. I want you to be proud to be asexual, because we're 1% of the population. We're different, and that's awesome, and that's a fantastic thing. So don't ever lose sight of that. So, Cassies Story. What advice would you give to others who are just discovering about asexuality and considering where they are or not? My advice would be, listen to yourself most of all. Don't give in to peer pressure. Feel free to experiment and try different things if that appeals to you. but feel just as free to say no to something. Talk to someone if you want to, and don't try to force yourself to be something you're not. There's nothing wrong about being asexual, just as there's nothing wrong with being sexual, be it hetero, homo, bi, pan, or whatever. And that is so true. There's nothing wrong with being asexual. I say that a lot on this channel, you know, because a lot of asexuals either get told they're broken or they feel broken inside, like something wrong with them. I'm asexual. I'm happily asexual. I don't think there's anything broken or wrong with me. I think that there was something wrong before in my life because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know my sexuality for years. And I think that caused me a lot of grief, upset and pain without me even realising it, you know? I mean, if I'd have known I was asexual in past relationships, it would have helped me loads, in the sense that I would have explained a lot, you know, why I didn't want sex, why I wasn't bothered about it, why I didn't think about it, you know. Having said that, if I had that, you know, if I hadn't known I was asexual, I probably wouldn't have been in those relationships, which would have been good in one sense because most of them were bad relationships, but bad in the sense that I don't know if I would have been able to so easily get a partner back then. But then, you know, because, you know, asexuality wasn't known about when I was a kid, but, you know, so in birth certificate age, so, you know, that would have been harder, I think. So I believe everything happens for a reason. Life happens as it meant to happen, you know. I'm a big believer in things happen for a reason. Everything happens the way it's supposed to happen in life, you know. But I'm so glad I know I'm asexual now. And I know I've always been asexual. I can see it looking back. There's a Steve Jobs quote that says you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. And I think that's quite true. If you reflect on your life in a reflective way, not in a I'm really upset, I want to cry and jump off a cliff right now, which you should never ever do. But I've been there, you know. I've been quite depressed and suicidal in the past, you know, and I've looked back at my past and it's been quite horrendous at times, and I've only just made peace with my past in the last year, you know. Just before Christmas last year, I watched this amazing video that's very hard to grasp the concept of at first. And it's all about accepting your past, however bad it was, whatever bad people were in it, whatever people did to you. Just accept it as it's always meant to have been, as it's meant to be, so that it's brought you to the point you're at now in your life where you can help others. And so that's how I look at it now. I've made peace with my past, but I didn't make peace with it for years of my life. It's only been the last, you know, just before Christmas last year, you know, and we're in July 2019 now. So about 6 months I've been peace with my past, and I can tell you it's a relief that finally I feel like I'm at peace with it. You know, I'm not saying everything's good. I'm not saying everything doesn't affect me sometimes still, but I feel a lot happier now. I'm like, yeah, it was always meant to happen to me, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if it was any other way, you know. And I kind of think that way about sex, you know. If I hadn't had all those sexual experiences, I wouldn't be able to help people on this channel as much, because I've had all those sexual experiences and I'm asexual. I can help more people. I really believe that. So everything happens for a reason. Don't do anything you don't want to do is the message, like running through this, you know. Be who you were meant to be, not who you want to be. So what advice would you give to others who are just discovering about asexuality and considering whether they are or not? Waywalker's story. Be you. If a label helps you get comfy in your skin, sweetheart, use the heck out of it. If none of them fit, that's okay too. Just trust your gut and never allow yourself to be violated, especially not because that's your primary relationship. You're really being unfair and not putting out as abuse. That line is a big fat lie. Don't buy it. And yeah, you have to understand that people who are sexual, some sexuals, will manipulate you. They will say you're frigid. They will say you're being unfair. You know, you're withholding things from them. You're being nasty. And that's simply, you know, not true, in the sense that you know, it's not that you're doing that on purpose, but that the sake of it is because you don't want to have sex. You're not interested in it. You know, it doesn't do anything for you if you're an asexual that doesn't want sex and doesn't like it, obviously, or not interested in it, you know. And so it's really important that like this Waywalker says, you know, you're being unfair and not putting out as abuse. It's not, you know, it's them abusing you if they choose to force themselves on you when you don't want to do that. It's unconsensual, you know. And guys, you know, I'm heteromantic, so I'm only into guys, so I can't speak for the other sexualities as much. But you know, I, you know, I've had guys who are like, oh, they kiss me lots, and after 5 minutes they want sex with me, and I'm like, this is it before I knew I was asexual. I'm like, no, you know, do yourself a hand job or something. I'm not interested. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to have sex. And so, you know, now I'm asexual, it's a lot easier. But I mean, some people just don't believe it. You know, I've had guys, sexual guys, and they just don't accept it. But that's their problem. It's not my problem. It's their problem at the end of the day. If they're so close-minded as to not accept it, it's not my problem, is it? So, you know, I just keep away from those type of people. So this is Samantha G's story. What advice would you give to others who are just discovering our asexuality and considering where they are or not? Don't let anyone tell you who you can and can't be. You are you through and through. You don't have to please anyone but yourself, because you are only going to spend 100% of your life with you. P.S. Sexual preferences can change over time, so it's all right if you're asexual today and homosexual tomorrow. That's what I found out very interesting about my book, is many people in it thought that sexuality is fluid. That was very interesting for me. I personally always think about sexuality being static, like as in you are sexuality, that's it. But I have known of a lesbian woman to then become in a relationship with a bloke and marry him. So she was either turned bisexual or heterosexual. So yes, it can happen. You know, some people do realize later on. And I've got asexual friends, and two of my asexual friends, one was panromantic, they now identify as homoromantic, and one was a biromantic, and they identify as a homoromantic. So it means that, you know, people can change. And so it's not so static and stuck in stone, you know, because sometimes asexuality and sexuality, well, pretty much all the time, it is a journey. It's a journey of your life. And you might find that, you know, your journey goes in different directions, and that is okay, you know. I mean, I'm clearly female. I like being female in the body. I enjoy that. But I do, you know, I have big arm muscles for a girl. You know what I mean? I like having these big muscles for a girl. It's great, you know. But I'm not interested in a bloke having big muscles, but I like having big muscles, you know. And so that's quite a masculine quality. And, you know, sometimes on this YouTube channel, I'm always talking about guys, you know, that I come across that are not strong enough for me. And I feel like saying man up to them, because I man up, you know. Man up it's a term I use for being stronger. Do you know what I mean? Like facing your fears and taking responsibility and taking actions and knowing what you want in life and going to get it and being determined to succeed at whatever you do, you know, and categorically know what you want in life. And I don't see a lot of people do that, you know. So one asexual friend I've got, they didn't like the term man up that I used. They said, how would you like to woman up? And I'm thinking, well, no, I wouldn't like to woman up. I don't mind manning up, because I do man up myself, you know. I feel I'm stronger than a lot of guys I come across, to be quite honest. And that's quite difficult, you know. And I think it's good that there's, you know, that people don't have to have specific gender roles. But I do think that people should be equal. And, you know, and in any relationship or friendship, you should be equally communicating with each other and sending each other messages backwards and forwards, not one specific person doing more of the work than the others, you know. But I don't want a guy where I'm doing all the messaging and asking all the questions. To me, that's a guy who isn't really interested in me. Do you know what I mean? Which I've found sometimes to be the case, you know. Other times I've found out that, you know, it's equal, which is great. And other times I've found out, you know, that I'm just there messaging them, and I'm like, well, what's the point? There is no point to that. So, you know, traditionally in relationships, a man to take the lead. And I do like it if a man is guy is pursuing me. But to go to the exact opposite of a guy not even initiating any messages and stuff like that, to me is just not a strong guy, you know. Or they message you once in a blue moon and say they really like you. They like you more than a friend, but you don't hear from them for months. You know, there's a guy who comes on this channel every so often, and he's like, oh, I really, really like you, but, you know, doesn't speak to me for 6 months. It's like not true, is it? It's just ego. That's all that's talking. So, you know, I think you can change, you know, some people do change their sexuality and some people do change their gender, you know, and I think it's quite an interesting concept when that happens. You know, I'll always be interested in being with a guy. I really, if I'm in a relationship, I want to be in a relationship with a guy, someone who looks like a guy. He can have some feminine qualities, but I still need him to be a strong guy. You know, I really do. But I think, you know, you just have to take asexuality as your own life journey and not be swayed by other people and know who you categorically are yourself. You know, if you're just discovering you're asexual, you know, read all the different terms, you know, different labels, if you like, read all the different definitions and decide which ones closely match who you are. I don't fit into an exact box in the sense that I don't feel I do. So I identify as a heteromantic, hyperromantic, grey A asexual younger cougar who doesn't like sexual kissing. But I'm not actually a grey A in textbook definitions because I don't experience any sexual attraction whatsoever. But I don't feel comfortable in just identify as heteromantic because I have grey areas of sexual behaviour when kissing and things like that. So I just don't fit into a box exactly. But I've got to accept it. It's the way it is, you know? It is the way it is. I identify as a heteromantic, which I definitely 100% am, and hyperromantic. But the grey A, I just tag on there because I've got grey areas. Even though I don't experience any sexual attraction, I just feel more comfortable with that. But not comfortable as in the sense of experiencing sexual attraction, because I don't at all, which is what textbook definition grey A is. You know, they experience it in limited, rare, or specific circumstances, or not enough to want to act on it. And I don't have either of them. But I just feel I have the grey, you know, the sexual behaviour with the kissing. So yeah, if you can't find a label that fits you, then don't worry, you're not alone. I'm the same really, because I don't quite fit into the asexual box 100%. Do you know what I mean? I fit into some box, you know, I fit into heteromantic 100%, but I don't fit into the overall picture 100%, I wouldn't say, you know? So I feel like I'm in between heteromantic and hyperromantic, and then there's like grey A. There should be grey areas. I think grey area A should literally mean grey areas. Really sexual in behaviour, but not sexually attracted. That's what I think it should mean. Really, you know, have real sexual behaviour in some areas, but no sexual attraction. But even then, I don't have it in loads of areas. I still don't have it. I don't have it because I don't like nudity. And I don't like, you know, I'd rather go and cuddle my cuddly toys than do any sex acts. And there's only certain amounts of touching certain places that I want to do and give and receive. So, you know, I don't really fit into the grey sexual box at all, really, in those senses. So yeah. But I'm just happy with my own label. You know, I like to give my own definition. I don't think anyone else in the world calls themselves an actual asexual cougar, even though there are. I've met a couple of others, which means I'm interested romantically as a heteromantic in guys. I'm interested in kissing, cuddling with them, but not having sex with them. And I particularly get attracted to younger foreign guys, but I don't want sex with them. But I haven't found a suitable younger guy for a hetero romantic relationship yet, but I'm hopeful. Anyway, until next time, embrace your quirky and each other's. Be who you want to be who you're born to be. Find what fits you and enjoy the asexual journey. It's a journey of discovery and a journey of finding out who you truly are. Till next time, like I said, embrace your quirky and each other's. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live right now, post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content. I really appreciate the thumbs up. It does get these videos higher up in search engine rankings, which means we're spreading the word of asexuality to a greater audience and getting more people to take notice of us, which is fabulous. Anyway, take care. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Lots of love. Bye.